Here we are up on top floor of the castle. We can look down to the river and see the bridge. When you look at the variation of colors in these trees right now when they're starting to flesh out for the summer, you can imagine what startling colors there are in the fall when all of this is a kaleidoscope of color. I'll just do a regular pan. You can see those mountains in the background, and then we'll go closer. They look like islands on the sea, and I think that's exactly what they are. We're close enough to that water. Didn't notice it at first. That's a huge bay. No English, of course, but it doesn't take a lot of imagination to figure out what this is. It's an old well or cistern. And you wonder if this tree, whose remains still seem attached somehow up there, way up there. I assume it's a tree as opposed to a vine, whether it was original. Came back down the same steep trail I'd climbed up and intersected with this pretty nice maintained trail that kind of runs just a 50 or 60 feet above the valley floor here. And so I decided when I connected with it again just to continue on with it, see where it went. And it continues to this end of the complex of gardens. These pretty places are simply in their culture, embedded in. Of course they are. That's why we see reflections of these bigger ones, even in the small little spaces in front of a small house. There's a little waterway there and a picnic area for people. And what I'm trying to find now is the Snake Museum. Notice how the lovely blossoms on this tree fall in almost the perfect circle, outlining the circumference of the tree itself. Notice how pretty this is, and notice how pretty it's going to be when the flowers bloom and they let the water in to fill in the spaces between the islands and underneath that walkway. What a pretty garden idea. Do you think this is directed at me, or do you think they really have wild boars here? Okay, they've anticipated the destruction of my self-worth and reinstated it for me. Here are pictures of wild boars. So what it lacks in drama and makes up for in simplicity. There's another tradition, putting little stones in there as a memento of your passing. You see this in lots of places in the world, including the Jews who put it on headstones. Here another shrine. Nothing terribly exciting about it though. We'll walk through these torii. Now notice on either side these large rocks and the interesting formations of those rocks, whether they prefab those to have little, what look like animals sitting on top of that one, and this one is just an archway, I don't know. But the idea of stones having some inherent religious, aesthetic value is present here and in China, and probably all of Southeast Asia if I go back and look at my videos. The lion and the ball are very much Chinese. Whether that's a direct allusion here or not, I don't know. Or whether you can even separate it from its history with China and its own, how can I say, self-evolved culture. It's a simple building. So I have to assume that this large moat was built for more than aesthetic purposes, that this compound we've been walking through was not only a religious center, but perhaps even a defensive center, or at least the home site, if you will, of the lord of this area. Should be, my snake place is a restaurant. Don't think those two go together. We're in the Museum of the White Snakes. Whether I think they're now genetically white. Whether they morphed from a albino form, although their eyes are red, not white. I wonder what one thinks when the others are crawling around on it. The tiny one probably being protected from being eaten by those big ones until he gets big enough to defend himself. White snake eggs. The skins of same. You can see they get to a pretty good length. I wonder if they still grow naturally. There's a video of them assembling a building that has the snake as its prime motif. Here I'm sitting on a bench in this lovely walkway alongside the river. The tour buses. And the bridge. It's interesting to see how this arch is constructed. This being a totally different way. I'm guessing that these little devices here are just to protect the ends of the wood so they don't rot out from the weather. And these, I think, are just those metal U's that are sharpened at the short end of the U's and hammered in place, used for eons, not only for wood but for stone. Look at the intricacy of this joint between these beams, vertical or post rather, and the cement portion of the post. I wonder if that's a true reflection of the original design. Well, that's going to be a slow ride.